The moment you realize she can disappear tomorrow and your life would collapse, that is the moment you have already lost your emotional power. And most men don't see it happening because on the outside, everything still looks normal. You're still texting her, still seeing her, still laughing together, still planning things. But inside, something dangerous has already started growing. You check your phone more than you check your own thoughts. Your mood quietly depends on whether she replies. Your peace depends on whether she's warm or cold that day. And the worst part is, you don't even notice when your emotional center slowly moves from your life into her hands. That is the hidden collapse many men experience in modern dating. Not rejection, not cheating, but something far more subtle: emotional dependency disguised as love. And if you've ever felt that quiet panic when her tone changes, when she replies slower, when she pulls back slightly, then you already know exactly what I'm talking about. And before we go deeper into this, let me say something quickly. If you're the type of man who actually wants to understand what's happening beneath the surface of modern relationships, not just dating tips, not manipulation games, then subscribing here is probably one of the smartest things you can do, because what we talk about here isn't surface advice, it's psychological clarity. And once you see these patterns, you stop walking through relationships blind. Now, here's the truth most men never hear. Detachment is not about caring less. It's about protecting your emotional center so that love never turns into self-abandonment. And the worst part is, most men only learn detachment after they've already been emotionally wrecked. After months of anxiety, after overthinking, after chasing reassurance, after trying harder and harder while the connection slowly becomes heavier instead of deeper. But here's what men don't realize. Women rarely lose attraction because a man cares. They lose attraction when a man loses his center. And that happens quietly, not with begging, not with dramatic fights, but with small emotional leaks that slowly tell her, this man's stability depends on me. And once that dynamic forms, the entire relationship starts shifting, not because she is evil, but because human psychology always moves toward emotional gravity. Whoever holds their center becomes the emotional anchor. Whoever loses it becomes the emotional pursuer. Now, imagine a scene. You're at a small birthday gathering at a friend's apartment. Music is playing softly, people are laughing, she's across the room talking with two other guys. And you notice something. She hasn't looked at you once in 10 minutes. It's a small thing, but your body reacts before your mind does. Your chest tightens slightly. Your brain starts scanning the room again. You try to stay relaxed, you grab your drink, you pretend to listen to the conversation around you. But inside, a silent dialogue begins. Is she losing interest? Did I say something wrong earlier? Why is she laughing like that with him? You hate the feeling, because logically you know it's nothing, but emotionally your attention is now locked on her. And here is the first painful truth. The moment your emotional stability starts reacting to her behavior, your power begins slipping away. Not because power means dominance, but because power in relationships simply means emotional independence. And that's where the triangle of detachment becomes one of the most important things a man can understand. Three internal mindsets, not behaviors, not tactics, mindsets that quietly protect your emotional balance no matter what happens in dating. Because without these three, modern dating will slowly pull you into anxiety cycles that destroy both your peace and your attractiveness. And the first detachment mindset begins with something that many men resist hearing. She is not your emotional home. Let that sink in for a moment, because this is where many men accidentally build emotional prisons for themselves. They meet a woman, they connect, they share vulnerability, they start imagining a future, and slowly they begin treating her presence like emotional oxygen. But here's what men don't realize. The moment your emotional stability depends on her consistency, your nervous system becomes vulnerable to every shift she makes. Sudden distance after intimacy, delayed replies, different moods, a canceled plan, and your brain begins interpreting these small signals as emotional threats. Now picture another scene. You wake up early on Saturday, sunlight coming through the blinds. You grab your phone, no message from her, which normally wouldn't matter, but last night she was affectionate, laughing, touching your arm, talking about seeing you again soon. So now your brain expects continuity, and when it doesn't arrive, your mind fills the silence. Maybe she changed her mind. Maybe she met someone else. Maybe she's pulling away. You start replaying the night, analyzing every sentence, every tone, every facial expression. And here's what men don't realize. That spiral is not caused by her behavior. It's caused by emotional attachment without emotional structure, which is why the first detachment mindset is this. A woman can be important to your life, but she must never become the center of your emotional regulation. Your peace must come from your life structure, your routines, your goals, your friendships, your identity, not from the consistency of someone you are still getting to know. Because when a man has multiple sources of meaning in his life, romantic uncertainty does not destabilize him. But when romance becomes his main emotional investment, every fluctuation feels like an earthquake. And the worst part is, women can feel this, not consciously, but emotionally, because energy always reveals emotional dependency. And here's where the second detachment mindset enters. Attraction grows in emotional space, not emotional pressure. This is one of the most misunderstood dynamics in modern dating. Men think attraction grows through constant reassurance, constant communication, constant presence. But here's what men don't realize. Human desire needs breathing room. Think about a scene. You're on the couch together after dinner. The room is quiet. She's scrolling through something on her phone. And suddenly you ask, "Are you okay?" She says yes, but something in her tone feels distant. So you ask again, "Did I do something wrong?" She says no again, but now the energy shifts. You feel uneasy, so you try to fix it. You talk more, explain more, ask more questions, trying to pull her emotional closeness back. But here's the twist. The more you try to force emotional clarity, the more pressure enters the room, and pressure suffocates attraction. Not because she wants distance, but because emotional pursuit changes the dynamic. It silently communicates, "I need reassurance from you right now." And once that message enters the interaction, the polarity shifts, which is why emotionally grounded men understand something powerful. Silence is not always danger. Distance is not always rejection. Sometimes space is simply the natural rhythm of two independent lives. And when a man can sit comfortably inside that space, he becomes emotionally magnetic because calm emotional independence signals strength. And this leads to the third detachment mindset. Her choices are information, not instructions. This one alone can transform how a man navigates dating, because many men treat a woman's behavior like something they must immediately respond to emotionally. She becomes distant, he chases clarity. She cancels a date, he overcompensates. She becomes warm again, he relaxes, his emotional state constantly reacting to her signals. But here's what emotionally detached men do differently. They observe, they collect information, and then they decide their own response from a stable center. Imagine another scene. You're sitting at a sports bar with friends, game playing on the screens. Your phone buzzes. It's her. Message says, "Sorry, I've been busy, let's hang out next week." And immediately your brain scans the message. No emoji, no enthusiasm, just simple words. Old version of you might feel uneasy, might start replying quickly, trying to secure plans. But the detached mindset processes it differently. You think, interesting. You don't panic, you don't chase, you don't withdraw emotionally either. You simply observe the pattern over time. Consistency reveals intentions far more clearly than emotional reactions ever will. And the deeper psychological truth is this. People respect emotional stability, not emotional reactivity. When a man reacts strongly,